Coming up next on the SPNN Forum, I'll be speaking with Rick Aguilar, president of Aguilar Productions. That's next on the SPNN Forum. Welcome to the SPNN Forum. I'm John Forde. With me today is Rick Aguilar, president of Aguilar Productions. Welcome, Rick.
Hey, John, thanks. Good to be here.
You are one of the very first marketers of Hispanic and multicultural marketing in the United States. And I want to know all about that, but first I want to know where you grew up.
Well, I'm a St. Paul kid, born and raised.
West Side, right?
Yeah, West Side Flats.
We have a good research department.
Yeah. And you don't want to get that mixed up with West St. Paul. That's real touchy.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of people use from West St. Paul.
So the Flats, that's down low, right?
Down there, right there where Comcast is now. They have their corporate headquarters. And born and raised there. And, it was a great upbringing, real kind of urban. It was a Jewish community originally. And the Latinos came in kind of the tail end of that as the Jewish community was moving out. And they got a little more successful going to Highland and that type of thing. And we came in there, and it was a great opportunity for us. There was some nice homes, and there was some good schools, and it was a pretty great neighborhood.
Now you started Hispanic marketing or multicultural marketing in 1990. Were you interested in marketing before that, just as a young man?
Well, in the 80s, because I've been pretty fortunate, John, to have a nice civic. I've had a good civic career here. I've been involved in a lot of civic organizations.
This resume is awesome.
I've had a lot of great mentors.
We'll go into it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of great mentors, and I've been given a lot of opportunities. That's what St. Paul's all about. And so one of the things that I was part of, one of the organizations was this U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that we started our own chamber here in 1981. In 82, we joined the national group that was out of Kansas City. And we were traveling all over the United States, to San Antonio, all these high-density Latino population cities. And that was the beginning of Hispanic marketing. Procter & Gamble, Miller Beer, they were looking at this Latino community, seeing that, they were having all this growth, population growth, and they were very fast-growing business segment also. So I was seeing that, and a lot of our sponsors of our chamber events were all these giant corporations. So I kind of grew up seeing Hispanic marketing grow, and all the years went by, and I had an opportunity. I was part of the St. Paul Chamber of Commerce, and I thought of maybe producing a conference here about Hispanic marketing. We have some of the top Fortune 500 companies, General Mills with U.S. Bank, and Pillsbury at the time was around, and Best Buy was just starting up. So that's what we did. I was fortunate to have a show to duplicate. It was in Los Angeles. It was called Se Habla Español, produced by a good friend of mine, and he was having this major conference himself. So I went there and I met some great presenters. I was able to see them up close. They were dynamic. They had some great information, and I invited some of them here to the cities. I was a little intimidated because I didn't know. Not many of them thought there was even any Latinos in Minnesota. We were not on the map as far as Hispanic population, not at all. But to my surprise, they all wanted to come here because they knew of our advertising agency community here, as we know, is pretty prominent, and then our corporations. So 1996, we produced our first Hispanic marketing conference here. I had some wonderful presenters. We were at the Millennium Hotel in Minneapolis. And it was a big success. I mean, General Mills alone sent about 30 people. And I knew American Family Insurance, a lot of the companies. And I knew we were onto something. I mean, there was this awareness of the market. But more than that, I think what was important, John, is that we also felt that it was overdue that people start looking at our Latino community as consumers, as having a buying power, instead of maybe this immigrant community that, in some instances are working, some pretty tough jobs, stockyards and that type of thing. So that really helped. That really helped, I think, start this identification thing.
So to sort of transcend the political dimension and look at them as customers and neighbors.
Yes, yeah. And you know, what happens with that is that once corporations start identifying as consumers, they start doing all kinds of things. One, focus groups. Who are you? What are your buying habits? Who makes the buying decisions? And so they get that information. But number two, they want to get more involved with the community. Your festivals, maybe some scholarships. You know, and corporate America has been doing that, well, their entire history of advertising.
So I want to dive deeper into this, but first I want to eliminate something because I'm going to ask a long, complex question. I think the answer is going to probably be no. But you can market to Hispanics in the United States, or you can market to cross-cultural people, Hispanic people outside the country. Is that an expertise you've developed as well?
No, I just wanted to stay in the U.S. You know, we have a lot of organizations, particularly the state, that does a lot of the international marketing conferences. And I didn't want to go there because I thought there was a real lack of understanding about the U.S. market. And I was right. So I kind of picked that, you know, that niche, and we kind of stayed with U.S. And over 20 years, we're still the only company doing this, doing the annual marketing conferences. But as you mentioned, you know, we expanded, I think about our third year. We were successful. We had gotten one of our major sponsors and I was really grateful to the Star Tribune, because I think we had the St. Paul Chamber and Minneapolis Chamber as our first sponsors. It was a natural fit. But when that Star Tribune jumped in, and they were very interested in this whole advertising to multicultural communities. You know, with Minneapolis with their large African American population, Latino. And I was really grateful for them because, first of all, they gave me hard dollars, and we needed dollars. I wanted the business to be profitable. You know, this was not a nonprofit situation. We were a for-profit company, Aguilar Productions. And boy, they really helped out. And then they were able to spread the word. We were getting these large ads in the Star Tribune, attracting a lot of corporations. So I knew we were on something, but I also thought, let's start expanding this. So I think our third year, we contacted BET, the Black Entertainment Network, and we had them come in. So we started talking about African American marketing, and it was a big hit. It was a lot of interest. And over the years, we've expanded. Now we're doing African American African. We did some marketing research about the African market here, and we know, you know, the Twin Cities has some of the largest African groups in the country here. And then we also do gay lesbian, and then we started looking at the Asian market. Our Hmong friends here. We have some, I think, one of the largest Hmong communities. So we did some research with them, and there was a natural fit. So now we are fully multicultural. So we do a couple conferences a year. We do this Hispanic standalone. But yeah, so it's been really, you know, a fascinating 20 years. And you know, our conferences never really had a title or like a vision. You know, we
until now.
Well, no, I meant like, you know, you'll see some conferences. They'll say, well, this is the new century, or the new this. Or the no, ours was always the money, the buying power. Because our first conference, our tag for that conference was, we invite you to enter the $20 billion Hispanic market. Our tag now, for our 20th annual, we invite you to enter the $1.2 trillion market. It's been about the dollars, how fast this market has grown. And it continues to grow, yeah.
One of the reasons I always love interviewing business people on this show is that they're always good with numbers. So I hope I haven't put you on the spot here. But you understand how these different demographics are growing, and business people are looking at 10, 20 years down the road.
Sure.
They want to get in front of that trend. This has to be essentially what you're selling.
Yes, and many companies have. You know, I've been, for instance, General Mills 20 years ago, they send 30 people. Now they have their own multicultural marketing department in-house, and they do fantastic work. Several of the organizations that we first started with, this U.S. Banks, one of our great sponsors, they have their own marketing department. I helped them get their first agency of record. And I think the one I'm really proud of, I think, is the Minnesota Twins. I was a commissioner with the River Center when they first opened at the XL Arena back in the year 2000. And there was a young man who was our executive director, Patrick Klinger. Well, probably 4 or 5 years later, Patrick went on to be a vice president of marketing with the Twins. And we stayed in touch because he was always interested in this multicultural marketing issue. And today, they're one of the first teams in major leagues that have their own diversity marketing department. So I'm really proud of them. They took that initiative, and they went beyond just having maybe some community outreach. They have a full department. They do a lot of research. They're getting more multicultural fans out to the ballpark. So I think that's a great example of how someone took that by the horns and made it happen.
Now, is developing an internal initiative something that you do at Aguilar Productions, or is that just a side effect?
Well, we like to act as a consultant. We've done some projects like that. I think one that comes to mind is Allianz Life. They're one of the 14th largest corporations in the world, and they're headquartered in Golden Valley. We help them get their department together, but not really. I think our prime goal with our Aguilar Productions is to promote these conferences and bring new information, new ideas, new insights about our communities and about the marketing. And that's what we've done. So we're pretty much with that. I've never thought about starting an agency or.
How often do they come?
We're 3 years. We do 3 events a year.
Okay, so every 4 months. And those are, and they're 3-4 days long?
Well, they're actually a day long.
They're a day long. So you can't be sick that day. That's a really important day for you.
Well, and actually doing the work of getting, because all our presenters are all from outstate. They're all from different parts of the country. Just organizing that, making sure we've got some new information, new speakers. It's a full-time gig. We're busy all year round. So.
And are you looking at academic research, or are you looking at high-profile motivational speakers, or
yeah, we're pretty much agents, marketing research people. I'll tell you why. They go beyond the demographics and the numbers. So, you can't do a marketing conference with demographics and numbers. It doesn't work. And you need the real insight. You need to give examples of why they would buy this, why they are attracted, what language you use, what kind of nuances. That's the stuff because these corporations are very sophisticated, and with their budgets now, they're not going to go to every conference because it's something to do, or we want to see how many thousands of people live in there. They want insights, they want strategies, they want something they can take back to the office, and start selling that product. So we have to be real. I think we have to be real. Looking at our programming is very important. What's the new information out there? So I go around the country to different conferences. I go to and talk to different presenters. They've got some new stuff we bring in here. Yeah. So but it's fun. It's exciting. And again, we're the only one in town that after 20 years, and it's been a good profitable business. At the same time, I think we've done a lot of good. I think there's a whole new a kind of a vision here of what the cities are as they grow economically that include the multicultural communities now. So that's important.
I can tell through your pores it energizes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
In case you're just joining us, this is the SPNN Forum, and I'm speaking with Rick Aguilar, president of Aguilar Productions, about multicultural marketing. So Rick, look at this resume. I mean, it's amazing. You have been on the Met Council. You've been chair of the board of directors of the St. Paul Chamber of Commerce. You're the founder of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. How do you have time to do all that and Aguilar Productions?
Well, I've had my first business, and a business that I was always proud of, and I was in the hairstyling business. I had my own salon over on Smith Avenue across the High Bridge, and I had a great a group of clients there, and a lot of those clients were my mentors. I was very fortunate to get a lot of appointments to boards, to the Met Council by Governor Palente, and St. Paul Chamber, and that type of thing, because I had these mentors. But at the same time, I was very active. I like to think I was a follow-through guy. So if you got me on your board, I was going to deliver for you. But St. Paul's been like that. Volunteerism is a way. It's a way of life. It's a kind of social network, and I've really been fortunate. Yeah, I think some of the highlights were really being the chair of the St. Paul Chamber of Commerce, and at the time I was probably the first small business owner, because the chairs of those organizations have been like the vice president of 3M,
big businesses,
yeah, the bank CEOs, and here I was. But I think at the time there was kind of a new maybe a look at what small business is. You know, small businesses are the largest parts of chambers. They're always 80% of the membership. So there were some pretty far-thinking leaders at the time. They said, let's give a small business owner a break. And I'll tell you, when we were active, I didn't get it by just because they said Rick Aguilar's a good guy. But we worked hard. We were very active. And boy, it was a wonderful year. You know, that year the River Center opened, XL Arena, and all this, Norm Coleman, you know, one of the great mayors of St. Paul history was there. So I've been pretty fortunate. But you know, I've always liked to say I use those opportunities to be more active with our communities too. You know, very civic-minded, but you know, we've got some issues here in the cities here with our achievement gap, and there are some disparities.
I wanted to get at that a little bit because you were mentioning the tagline. You know, do you want access? I don't remember the exact wording. But do you want access to the $20 billion purchasing power of these segments? That purchasing power comes from wages, and so keeping minority segments employed has to be almost a centerpiece of keeping the circulatory system functioning. Yeah. Do you do that kind of stuff? Are you
well,
helping?
we do. We've been very active with a lot of the high schools, with trying to bring mentors more to these Latino kids about business opportunities, and you know, META, SBA over the years. You know, I've been active with those groups, but it kind of falls into my business. What we do too, because a lot of that's multicultural oriented. So we've helped them market more to the community. Maybe, you know, SBA, what they do, why you should be part of it. So we've been involved with that, John. Yeah, I think it's been a good match by actually getting involved with those organizations, both profit, nonprofit, public sector, private.
So I'm interested in the production cycle for you, because you've got 120 days. Yeah. And you probably take a couple of days and breathe after one's over. First, you have to deconstruct and make sure what happened. Then just a little interregnum to rest, and then begin planning, get your next people, and then ramp it up. Tell me about that cycle.
Well, you know, this year was interesting. It's our 20th year, so we thought let's hit some new segments. And I think one of the most interesting segments now was health and wellness. You know, we have a large health industry here. And you know, the U-Cares and the Medicas and the United Health Group, but they were struggling. And I went to some early meetings, probably 6 or 7 months before the conference, and found out, you know, they were having trouble reaching these communities. You know, the wellness programs weren't working with these communities. These communities have high rates of diabetes, heart issues. You know, a lot of serious diseases that are being treated. And well, so we want to find out why. Was the fact that their branding, their messaging to these communities wasn't working. You know, colonoscopies, all these things that these groups were suffering from. And I was right. And so this year we actually produced the first multicultural health and wellness conference. It was March 24th. But we also had the largest number of presenters I've ever had, 15. And there were some key, real strategic presenters. For instance, the head of CVS Health, you know, CVS, one of the fast-growing drugstore corporations. We had the head of their strategic marketing, and so it was difficult getting on their schedule, making sure they're here. But so that was a lot of work, and then the follow-up, making sure their presentations and all the information, marketing the thing. Boy, the success was really a great smash. We had a big turnout. Everybody learned a lot. So I think as a company, we're on a road with a new segment we're going to be working at. So then May 25th is our next show. So there wasn't a lot of downtime.
It's coming up. Okay.
Yeah, we had to make sure we followed up with all these attendees. And but you know, it's an exciting business. Just as you end that day at the conference, I was really struck by this group of the health and wellness. You know, generally, when you have a lot of marketers in a room, there's a lot of things you have to take care of at the office. So there are a lot of times out in the hallway, they're emailing, they're texting, they're getting phone calls. Not this group. This group stayed right at the tables, and they really wanted to learn. And I knew then we had a home run there because we were giving them good information. And I think we're going to see some major changes here in the cities on how multicultural groups are marketed to.
Rick, we've got about 8 minutes left.
Okay.
And so we're 2/3 of the way through this very, very fun, informative show.
Good stuff.
it sounds like a lot of what you do is share best practices.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a threat to your business from like a journal kind of thing that can just push that stuff around? Or is largely what you do the synergy of face-to-face?
Well, yeah, there is a lot of that. There's a lot more. Well, there's a lot more.
I guess what I'm asking is, why don't you publish that journal?
Well,
more work.
here's what happens. I think for me, I've been very fortunate. You know, there's a reason why there's not a lot more multicultural marketing conferences in this town. Because if you have an entity, say you're an agency, and you say, well, you know what? Why don't I produce a multicultural marketing? People will think you're trying to sell to them.
Yeah. Okay.
My company is strictly about providing information. I like to think we've had a track record over 20 years. If you come to our conference, you never feel sold to. Nobody's trying to pitch you their agency. You're getting good information that you can use at the office. So I've been very careful of that. And so that's why I've never started an agency. I've been asked, and I've been a consultant in such a way where I'm actually directing your advertising. And I think it's worked out. We've been again, here we are 20 years later.
Well, it sounds like it would be very sticky, like it would provide long-term customer loyalty that the Fortune 500s and the whatever it's called, 2000, are going to keep sending their people to you every 120 days because they come back smarter.
Well, they do or they don't. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you why, though. You know, like General Mills, once we got them their own agency, so I would send them our brochure, and their agency now would say, oh, we know that stuff. You don't have to go. So, you know, you kind of, by helping out an organization get more in tune with multicultural marketing, maybe you're kind of maybe putting an end to your relationship with about so many people coming to your conference. But you know, they're all still interested, and this has been a great community. And I think our corporations have been unique in the country because, you know, they're actually sponsors. They give you hard dollars so that you can produce your shows, and you know, there's a profit there. And they see some take back. They're getting a return on investment. So it's really been a win-win. But you know, you have to plan for that stuff. None of these things happen by accident, John. You know that it's a lot of making it happen.
It's just all spontaneous.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it though.
Okay.
It's been great.
You are doing a lot more than just booking high-level speakers. You are curating information. So you are finding what's new, deciding if it's relevant or not. Who gets to say it?
Yeah.
How do you stay on top of all that?
Well, you know, I go to a lot of conferences. That's one thing, and you know, I'm really in tune thanks to the internet. And you know, and a lot of it, just to throw in a plug, because I think SPNN's been just really helpful. You know, we've taped a lot of our conferences, and because of, you know, the uniqueness of this organization, people are able to see it, be able to view it again. And boy, that's really helped. We still get calls with some shows we did, you know, maybe it was a year prior. But you know, that's important. So the work you do here, you know, this show here in particular, this is great information for us and getting the word out. But you know, you have to be on it. And you know, and for us to say after 20 years, we're still, you know, doing some new things like the Sports Marketing Conference coming up May 25th. This is probably the first of its kind in the cities. I haven't seen it around. And we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about this soccer stadium, for instance. You know, $20 million. You know, it's not going to get filled up by accident. I mean, you know, where they're playing now, Blaine, and I don't know if you've been there, John, but
Yes.
no, but the fact is, you know, that's fine. You can get enough people out there, but this is the next big step. So we're hoping to help the United increase their marketing level so that they know that these multicultural groups not only want to come to the game, but they fall in love with the United. These Latinos, for instance, you know, you go to their homes, they have a lot of soccer memorabilia, but it's about their teams in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's nothing about the United. So we have to make sure that, how do they fall in love with the United? How do they say, you know, that's our team. We're going to the game. That's going to be the things we hope we can help them with. Really get that DNA about Hispanics and soccer. There is a DNA there, how more they're in tune with it. So how do we do that? So this is the kickoff, May 25th. We're going to be at the Hilton. And we've got some agencies out of Texas, out of Miami that have professional sports, because we're going to be talking about football. We're talking about basketball. Nancy Hernandez out of Milwaukee. She's going to be great. She has both the Brewers and the Bucks. Those are her clients. And if you go to those Brewer games or the Bucks game, a real multicultural audience, thanks to her. They learn how to market to these communities. So it's going to be a hell of a show. We're looking forward to it.
Where's the stadium in terms of its timeline at this point?
I think it's past some of the tax committees, but the final, when that bill's signed and all the. So I think we're going to be getting some news as closer to the end of the session, which is May 23rd. So we could have a big announcement at our conference.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
Wow, it'd be a good way to highlight the conference and really launch that whole marketing plan.
So we can't really announce it's shovel ready yet.
No.
Okay. I was going to suggest you should get shovels and just go start now.
I think Chris Coleman, this whole administration, they've done a good job luring that team. I thought that was Minneapolis for sure, but it's going to be exciting for St. Paul, and we'll see it right here in the Midway, and it's going to be cool.
And I don't know if it's fact or conjecture, but I'll still ask you to be reckless. How big a footprint is that thing going to have? It's going all the way from University to the freeway, and Snelling most of the way to Hamlin, or how far?
Well,
I guess not all the way to Hamlin.
We're going to be presenting a look at that stadium and all this development around it. It's not going to happen right away, obviously, but boy, it's really going to be exciting. And of course, one of the things that's always a challenge is, can we fill that stadium up? That's going to be some of these teams, unfortunately, in the Major League Soccer, they're not doing as well as when they started. And so that's going to be so. Maybe 5 years into the gig here, if the audience is there, yeah. But it's going to be it's a big boom for St. Paul. It really is.
Rick, we got about a minute and a half left. Tell me what people should know about multicultural marketing in just that little time.
Well, I always tell companies that when I first approach them about multicultural marketing, I always start with this: a successful company that has a long-term, long-range planning, they should always be aware of the marketplace. And that's all I always tell them. You don't have to come to this conference and get into multicultural marketing, but you do have to come and be aware of how that marketplace has changed. The Twin Cities, we're almost 40% multicultural. And if your company doesn't know that and doesn't look at them as consumers, as people wanting to buy your product, so that's my first tag I always give them. And it works, because that's all I'm asking you. Come and find out who these people are, what they, where your products or services could fit in their community. And, thank goodness after 20 years, it's still happening. So people are still taking that first step.
Good. Well, Rick, you're partly educator, quite clearly.
Well,
and congratulations on all your success.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for being here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
I've been speaking with Rick Aguilar, president of Aguilar Productions, about multicultural marketing as it exists today. That's all we've got time for on the SPNN Forum. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Rick.
Good stuff. Yeah.